Congressman Scott DesJarlais. Congressman, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Congressman. I told people to listen very carefully to you because, I mean, yesterday you were slurring up a storm like Joe Biden, but it had nothing to do with, your cognitive situation. You'd gone to the dentist and I guess had a molar pulled?
Yeah, I had one that they couldn't save, and there wasn't enough bone there to put an implant, so they had to pull it as a back upper molar. And yeah, so I had cotton in my mouth, and I probably didn't sound as good as Joe Biden. So thanks for giving me a day reprieve to recover.
So what is worse, getting a molar pulled or having to listen to Hakeem Jeffries?
I'd probably lose all my teeth first.
There you go. All right, so let's talk about what is going on. Of course, we all know the government is shut down day 2. So I'm assuming you're back here in Tennessee. Is that a safe assumption or no?
Yeah, we are in Tennessee. We will be going back Monday.
Okay, so main sticking points, of course, you have the Democrats that are out there. I do find it interesting, and I shouldn't lead the witness, but you have the Democrats out there saying that, oh, no, we don't want medical benefits for illegal aliens, which is one of the biggest talking points that Kamala Harris ran on. That's number one. And number two, as I have been reminding folks, let's all remember that back in 2019, that now infamous moment when the moderator in the Democrat primary said, hey, if your platform, if your policies include giving illegal aliens medical benefits, raise your hand. And they all raised their hands. So I guess I'm a little confused as to why the Democrats seem confused.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it. Illegals are getting taken care of. We know that they're getting housing. We know they're getting education. We know that they're getting cell phone. We know that they're getting food subsidies. And we know that they're getting health care. And we let 20 million of them in for only one reason, and that was to increase the voter base, because most U.S. elections are about 50-50. And in their mind, another 20 million people that they give a whole bunch of stuff to are going to vote for them. So there's no secret. Trump came in really on day one, flipped the switch, and the border was closed. And so, I'll give one example that I've been fighting for years trying to get an answer about is why or how much of our SNAP benefits, 41 million Americans allegedly are on SNAP benefits. That's the number they give us. I want to know how many of those are here illegally, how many are U.S. citizens. And they say it's very hard to get SNAP benefits if you're not an American citizen. But on the USDA's own website, their own paperwork, I've held it up and showed it right to them. I showed it to Vilsack and I showed it to Rollins. And if you're here and you're under 18, you automatically qualify for SNAP. That's a rule. So anyone under 18 that entered the country illegal is getting SNAP benefits. If you are seeking asylum and get it, you get SNAP benefits. There's like 17 different categories. If you're a refugee, you get SNAP benefits. So these are all non-citizens, and that's just the food benefits, but they get health care benefits too. And so it's disingenuous for them to say that that's not part of it. I'm guessing it's probably out of that 41 million, I'm guessing that probably at least 11 million, I can't get a number, but it's a high number that are non-American citizens that we're paying for instead of using money on Americans first.
Well, one of the things, Congressman Scott DesJarlais is joining us, one of the things that has been in the conversation circles the last several days is that, as far as I can gather, the Democrats are trying to say that the Republicans are lying, that they don't want to give, and this is important, illegal aliens medical benefits. And so one of the things that J.D. Vance and others have pointed out, including yours truly, is that, as you mentioned correctly, Joe Biden brought in or allowed in, because you got the parolees too, all of these people into our country, and then he changed their status, effectively calling them lawful. They were lawfully here. And that opened the door for them to get, I guess, additional benefits. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, in his mind, I guess if he's not stopping them at the border, and he clearly wasn't, maybe in his mind it was lawful because under his rule as president, he was allowing them to come in,
right,
and he was turning them loose. So, I guess that was his logic, and of course, that's not the way the laws are written on the books. So he was basically breaking the law, in my opinion. And it's amazing because I hate CRs. I think it says that Congress is not doing its job, that we're not passing a budget. And under Biden, there was 13 CRs that they called clean CRs, which means, basically you're just extending the current funding levels to another time when you can kick the can down the road further. But, we literally passed a CR. The only thing that was in there was a bipartisan request because of all the political violence for member security. Now, whether or not that needed to be in there or not, I don't know, but it was agreed upon by Democrats and Republicans. So it truly was a clean CR, with the exception of some additional funding for security and safety measures. And so they should have no problem voting for that, but now it's a political football, and they're using that Republicans don't care about Americans' health care. But let's dissect that just a little bit for a minute, too, because this was another Biden move. During COVID, they took Obamacare recipients, and there may be some listeners who are benefiting from this, but, they keep throwing them, several million Americans are about to see their premiums jacked. Well, what happened was it was kind of like student loans. Student loans were changed to interest only, but when COVID was over, they had to start making their payments again. Well, the health care thing was that they had an enhanced premium subsidy during COVID because so many people lost their jobs and so on and so forth. Well, that was set to expire, and it's expiring. So that's what they're talking about, that Republicans are jacking people's health care premiums. That's not true. They're just going back to where they were. In the meantime, I don't know about you, but my family's health care coverage literally has doubled since COVID. What we pay each month for health care has doubled. So the average American is paying much higher premiums to subsidize this enhanced premium reduction that was started during COVID. So they're holding the country hostage and saying, we're not voting for the CR because Republicans don't care about health care, and they want to raise everyone's premiums. They're not raising the premiums. They're just going back to where they were supposed to go, as this gift was put out there during COVID to help people out. So I'm not buying that argument either.
Congressman Scott DesJarlais is joining us. I got a lot more straight ahead. Congressman, hold on. We got some traffic problems here in Middle Tennessee, here in Nashville. We'll get right back to you on WTN 746.
The Hermitage 40 westbound past Central Pike. We've got blocking the right lane. South Nashville 440 westbound at 24. Accident on the left shoulder. And Millersville 65 southbound past Louisville Highway. We've got an accident in the construction zone. I'm Christy O'Brien.
746, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Partly sunny and warm, high of 86, feeling like 89. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Congressman Scott DesJarlais is joining us in the midst of day 2 of the government shutdown. Congressman, a lot of people are saying that, and I asked Senator Haggerty about this the other day, this shutdown feels different for whatever reason. I think partly because both sides are incredibly just, they're not moving. They're not negotiating. This whole thing about illegal aliens getting medical benefits, that is a non-starter. Also a very big deal is Chuck Schumer, who is up for re-election, and he's got AOC breathing down his neck.
Yeah, he voted for the CR, or got enough Democrats to vote for it in March or whenever we had to pass the other one. And at that time, he said it's dangerous to shut down the government. And almost every Democrat that you want to bring up, everyone who's known, they've been playing a loop of clips where they're saying, you don't shut down the government. And you don't, because people get furloughed. And I think that's an important point to get into here in a minute, too, the non-essential employee thing. But, people get sent home, people get laid off. You might not have a park ranger to talk to in a national park, this and that. But most of the government is on autopilot. 85% of what we spend is mandatory spending, and in a shutdown, that just continues forward. And so even in a shutdown, we're still going into debt. But we lose money because we pay people not to work. I've never seen a shutdown where people who were furloughed don't get back pay. So they're basically getting a free vacation. In fact, I think federal workers who get furloughed love it because they know they're going to get their money. They always do. Now, I'm going to give an example. In 2012 or 2013, we, the Republicans, were not in power in the White House. It was Obama, but we vowed to repeal Obamacare. So we basically forced John Boehner's hand, and we went into a government shutdown for 18 days. And you probably remember the movie Animal House, where the guy gets in front of the band and leads them into a blind alley. Well, eventually you got to come out. And that's where we were. For 18 days, we fussed because we were going to repeal Obamacare. We're going to hold the government hostage because we were going to get our way. Well, there's no way in hell Obama was going to sign anything to repeal Obamacare. And so we lost, and we learned a lesson that, you can't hold the government hostage. That's what they're trying to do right now over health care. And the pressure is going to mount on them as certain benefits do run out. Military got paid, but in a couple of weeks, they're not going to get paid. And as far as the non-essential employees, they say send your non-essential employees home. And I thought, what the hell is that? When I had a medical practice, I didn't have anybody there that I just had there because I was nice and thought, this person needs a job. I'm gonna give them money. That's bad business. But the government has all these employees that are deemed non-essential. Well, so they're the ones that are getting furloughed. I don't have anyone in my office going home because I need every single one of those to do the work that we do. And this is a case where Trump, in theory, after a period of time, these non-essential furloughed employees, he can just make that permanent, just get rid of them. And they're trying to downsize government.
Yep.
And everything we did in the big, beautiful bill to save money and claw back money, the Democrats are basically wanting all that back. They're not in power, so they don't get to make that call. We did these things to clean up government, to get rid of waste and fraud and abuse, and they're wanting that $1.5 trillion worth of stuff, Green New Deals, whatnot, put back in there. And that's what they're holding us hostage for right now. And over the next few days, it's going to become pretty clear that they initiated this shutdown. And it's always a blame game. I hate this. Oh, they did it. No, they did it. It's the American people just want things to function and they want government to function. But I think this does feel different in the sense that, this is a politically motivated thing. As you said, Chuck Schumer feels threatened by AOC. God help us. That she would replace somebody who's been there 50 years, who's basically worthless, and she's even more worthless. But, yeah, this is about politics, and I think that as the clock ticks here over the next few days, there's going to be enough rational Democrats, moderate Democrats that are going to join in, and they're going to end this.
Do you think that there are rational Democrats who will, risk either not getting funding from the Democrat Party when they run for re-election? You know how the game is played. Do you think because I think they need, how many do they need? I hear anywhere from 4 or 5 to 7 to 9. You have 5?
Yeah,
okay.
we need about 5. And yeah, I mean, who would have ever thought? I thought John Fetterman was a nut, and he's turning out to be more like a Joe Manchin from West Virginia. He's more of a moderate, and he actually makes sense sometimes, despite the hoodie and his expressive aphasia, which has gotten much better. I guess I got to know him after he had his stroke, and he didn't seem like he was competent to run for office. But the guy's pretty rational when it comes to political views, and I never thought I'd hear myself say that. But then there's someone from New Hampshire and a few others that are starting to feel the heat. If you're in a swing seat where, it's about 50-50 Democrats and Republicans, you got to please everybody. And if you feel political pressure, you're going to say, well, let's reopen the government, because really, this fight's going to happen again. You and I will be on the phone November 20th talking about this again. But it does give you 6 weeks to negotiate. Well, these health care subsidies were temporary. And once you give something away as a government, it's hard to take that back. People get used to it. And it's like, well, no, I don't want to go back to paying full price. I like paying half price. And so, maybe there's a happy median in there somewhere due to inflation that we can negotiate and find, something that's fair. But at any rate, we got 6 weeks to do that. And that's when we need to be having this fight. Having a fight during a shutdown right now is futile. We're not going to sit there and say, okay, you win. We're going to give you what you want. I think we're locked in because we offered a clean CR just like they did 13 times under Biden and just like they voted for in March. And so I think in the end, this thing wraps up pretty quickly, and we'll see 5 more Democrats peel off, hopefully by early next week.
I don't understand, and I've only got like 30 seconds left, but I don't understand how the Democrats can blame the Republicans for this shutdown when 5 Democrats need to vote for the CR to keep it open. What am I missing here, Congressman?
I don't know what you're missing. It's like one of the few times that we actually did it right in the House. And again, I don't generally vote for CRs, but we have such a slim majority Trump asked us to vote for this so that there would be time to negotiate and finish some appropriation bills and have these negotiations. So it's literally a 6-week CR. We're just continuing the current rate of spending for 6 weeks. And then again, we'll have this fight again, but it'd be nice if we actually had a budget and did things the right way. I wouldn't hold your breath, but Washington is so divided right now; it's hard to get anything done legislatively. But the bottom line is, you can't hold your breath, stomp your feet, and say, "I want all these things," and expect to get them. It's like petulant children, and that's what they're being right now. The Republicans passed a clean CR. And, they just need to open it because they're creating a bunch of problems for a bunch of people, and they're going to see things that their priorities. Trump can claw back money that's been appropriated, and I think he's doing that on some construction projects in blue states because, he can say, oh, we can't spend this money right now. We're in a shutdown.
Yep.
And so they're going to feel the pain. They're going to feel the pressure. And, my prediction is that, like I said, in less than a week, they'll get the 5 Democrats, and then we'll live to fight another day.
All right, Congressman, always great to have you on, and have a great rest of day and week. And, man, that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But